At the same time, we got some news for you over on the Republican side of things. We got some new polls about how Americans feel about the latest Trump indictments that we're going to break down for you. But we wanted to start with a bit of an existential crisis, I think it's fair to say, going on over at Fox News. Fox News in disarray, because obviously they want to move on from Trump. At least the leadership, Rupert Murdoch and co, want to move on from Trump. They picked DeSantis as the golden boy. Golden boy isn't working out. So now they're shopping around for like, all right, well, who else?
Who we got?
Can we prop up and give a go at it? At the same time, they know their audience overwhelmingly still loves Trump. So one of the manifestations of this inner struggle is something they did that was utterly hilarious. They just out of nowhere invented these like power rankings in the Republican primary based on nothing other than like something they pulled out of their own butts. But they're selling this as if it's breaking news, and it's amazing. Take a listen.
Our power rankings show former President Trump keeping a firm grip on the party.
So here's what we have, Dana. He is far and away the front runner. Ron DeSantis, Tim Scott are in contention. You've got 5 others in the conversation, and the rest are on the outside looking in.
Hi, Dana and Bill. That's right. Feeling right at home here in Iowa. We can tell you that this morning, Senator Tim Scott breaking into the top 3 in those Fox News power rankings that were just released. We caught up with him here on the fairgrounds, asked him why he thinks he's moving up in these polls. He said it's because of his common sense conservative policies. Listen. Do you think you are going to be able to move up in those rankings?
Well, the good news is we continue to move up. More importantly, I'm not spending any time watching polls. I'm spending all my time watching people. So polls don't vote, but people do. So I'm going to spend my time getting to know the average person in the state even better. And so far, so good. I expect that our momentum will continue to increase every day.
So again, this is not based on polls. This isn't based on really anything.
Yeah, they like invented it.
It's just their own invention.
Okay.
It's like fanfic of what they want the Republican primary to be like, and it's kind of amazing. I almost respect the just audacity of making this thing up and then pretending that it's breaking news.
Well, when it pairs next with what we're about to show people, it makes sense. They want and are trying to suck up to Trump as much as humanly possible. And then also because they want him to come to the debate. They are desperate for him to come to the Republican debate. If he doesn't come to the debate, they're going to look like idiots. It's obviously going to be a sideshow. I'm already seeing 2 scenarios where Trump could either turn himself in Georgia, which would overshadow it completely, or he just might do competing interviews. I saw a float that apparently is in conversation with Tucker Carlson's team about doing an interview, doing a media blitz at the time just to be like, yeah, I'm actually the center of attention here. Which, you know, why shouldn't he? He did that during the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I have to go back to the Tim Scott thing because, okay, just so you know, I looked up where he's at in the national average. 2.6%.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
Like, it's very
Vivek
obvious.
Is actually
I was going to say, the thing that's most obvious, I mean, first of all, like, they're trying to put on a Tim Scott, like, trial balloon here. And by the way, I saw on CNN this morning when I was in the gym, they had a similar, like, oh, Iowa voters interested in Tim Scott. So there's a whole media effort right now to try to make Tim Scott a thing. That's number 1. Number 2, they clearly hate Vivek.
Yes.
Because he is the person who is actually coming up in the polls, has some momentum. How do you feel about him? Not my cup of tea. That's fine. You know, we had a good exchange here. I hope he comes back. I hope we talk to him more. But he clearly is the one moving up in the polls and, you know, challenging DeSantis in some of these numbers. And they don't give him any sort of cred. They put up a graph later that had everybody's fundraising, and they made sure to put an asterisk in there of like how much came from him, just to sort of like undercut, you know, the level of. Anyway, Tim Scott, this is the new thing that they're trying, and I think it's going to work even less well than the Ron DeSantis attempts worked here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just to, as we alluded to, this is how much they're sucking up to Trump. They're like playing up as if his big Georgia reveal of where Trump promises on Monday, this time he's going to prove that the election was stolen. This is how they covered it over at Fox.
So this 100-page report that's going to come out on Monday, the former president's going to drop it out at Bedminster, which is his golf resort just to the west of New York City. And the question is, what's going to be in it? Well, apparently it was, and this is according to the New York Times this morning, compiled at least in part by a woman by the name of Liz Harrington. And she has been one of his communications staff members. And apparently the document focuses on voting anomalies in the state of Georgia. And Ms. Harrington has been on X, formerly known as Twitter, and said, kind of giving us a preview, it said, Georgia has been among the most corrupt elections in the country, and they haven't gotten any better since 2020. They've gotten worse. Tune in Monday.
And he said on Truth Social, Donald Trump, they never went after those that rigged the election. They only went after those that fought to find the riggers. Right. And in this indictment in Georgia, in all these indictments, it allows him to have discovery. So his lawyers will have discovery and will find out information. And I heard this morning, Brian, an attorney said, I think it was on Fox and Friends First, was saying the best argument he has is to tell the truth. And if he finds out that something did happen in the election, then he would have proof. And then maybe he could exonerate himself. What he has, we don't know. We'll find out on Monday morning at 11 o'clock.
We'll find out on Monday morning at 11 o'clock. Actually, you know what the funniest thing is? Report already out this morning. Trump's lawyers are desperate for him not to do that. They're like, that's really going to complicate your legal troubles if you continue to go down this road. And they want him to cancel, and he very well may. So it's just funny to see the way that they cover it.
I mean, it's hilarious that they're like credulously like, oh, maybe now we're going to get the big reveal. And
it only took 3 years.
Pump this thing up. But yeah, it shows you that they just don't know where to land with this because they know they want him at the debate desperately, which I don't think is going to happen. They, want to obviously keep their audience, which is very overwhelmingly pro-Trump, and yet they really don't want him to be the guy. So they're also trying to flirt with DeSantis, flirt with Tim Scott, flirt with whoever might have a shot at defeating him. But guess what, guys? It ain't happening.
Not going to work. Yeah.
All right, we've got some polls, as I alluded to before, about how people feel about this latest charges. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. This is from the AP recent poll that they did. Do you approve the Justice Department indicting Trump over his efforts to remain in office after losing the 2020 election? Yes, 53%. No, 47%. Will not surprise you to learn that there is a major partisan breakdown on this question. Let's put this up on the screen. So Democrats, 85% approve of the criminal charges brought specifically by Special Counsel Jack Smith. So this isn't the Fulton County one. These are specifically asking about Jack Smith. Independents, 47%, so they're split pretty evenly, and Republicans at 16%. So really wide, obviously, partisan divide in terms of how people feel about all of this. But the other question that I have is, listen, we talk a lot here about the challenges for Biden and how people feel like he's too old and they're not happy with the economy and all kinds of issues there. But Republicans may well be nominating the one dude who is almost definitely going to lose to Joe Biden. Put this up on the screen. You've got recent poll that this is from the AP as well. Do you want former President Trump to run again in 2024? Yes, 63%. This is from among Republicans.
Right.
Back in April of 2022, it was only 55%. So for Republicans, they are overwhelmingly in favor of Trump running again in 2024. But the next one up on the screen, would you support Donald Trump in the 2024 election? Now, this is for everybody, not just Republicans. So looking ahead to that general election, what kind of a shot does he have? You've already got a majority of the American people, 53%, who say they will definitely, 100% not support Donald Trump. You've got another 11% that say they probably won't support Trump. And then you've got 36% who say yes. Now, listen, the way that this could go down is he doesn't, if you've got a few third-party candidates in there, he doesn't have to get to 50% in order to win. I mean, that's the way that he pulled it off back in 2016. So, the fact that you've got a majority who are against him doesn't necessarily mean that he would be unable to pull it off. But, I mean, I have to think that the fact that this whole election cycle is going to be relitigating 2020, stop the steal. He's already going out there and want to do press conferences all about this, leaning into all of this. It's going to be all the coverage is about people hate this part of him, like majority of people hate this part of him outside of the Republican Party. He may well be facing prison time by the time that the election rolls around. I do think this is a very tough hand for Republicans to overcome.
I just don't ever know. I mean, it's one poll, right? We can say that. You never know. It's one of those where he did win an election in 2016. He only had a 30% approval rating. There is the quote-unquote silent Trump voter phenomenon. Some people will say that they're not going to vote for him, and then secretly they will vote for him. Mm-hmm. It's also more than a year out. Before the election, there's all kinds of mitigating factors. But would I want to be in this position? No. But I'm not yet willing to count him out at the same time. I just am not sure, though. And as you said, too, I mean, Hillary won, almost 52%, I think, of the popular vote? Something around there. But it wasn't actually all that close whenever you look at it. But, if you win in the right states, it all came down to 30,000, 40,000 votes last time across 3 states. all you have to do is switch a few more. This time, some people don't come out to vote. Some people vote third party. You can pretty easily win. I mean, Bill Clinton won the presidency in 1992 with like 43% of the popular vote. Like, and that's not that far off from where Trump is right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm really conflicted. I go back and forth on this because also, you know, it is the case that looking at the national head-to-head polls between him and Biden, he has never, at this point in 2016 or 2020, was nowhere close to as strong as his numbers are right now.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the head-to-head numbers, and I think that might be also why you get a little bit of a different picture in this poll, because they're just asking about how do you feel about Trump, basically. Yeah. And when you just ask about Trump, yeah, you got a majority of people who are like, no, not doing it again. But when you're like, all right, but your alternative is Joe Biden, then suddenly it ends up really close, which is utterly pathetic that, you know, the Democrats have are tied with a dude who is, you know, facing like 91 charges and potential prison time ahead of the election. And yet we still have this state of affairs where it is impossible to say exactly what's going to happen. But, you know, I do think for Republicans who want to win, I do think that they would likely have a much better shot with a candidate who, you know, didn't have 91 charges and multiple indictments across multiple states.
On that, I don't think it's deniable.
Yeah.
But, you know, it looks like we're going to go into this. So is it going to work? I saw there's a lot of triumphant, you know, people being like, oh, well, this, you know, Trump definitely can't win. There's just no way. I'm like, how many times we all have to learn this lesson, all right? Like, I've seen old Donnie wriggle himself out of many situations. Maybe this is it. Okay, it's possible. But I've seen enough where until it happens, I'm just really not ready to
It's a wild situation.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.